So we have a bunch of new knives to get into from different companies. Now we just stocked the NEEVEKNIFECO site, so definitely check that out. We got a whole bunch of new CIVIVI, some of which are going to be in this video, send cuts, knives, all kinds of stuff. So definitely check that out. I'll link other stores down there as well, just in case if we run out, because you know we're not able to get a lot of them. But the first one, and thank you guys for using the site, I do greatly appreciate it. Now the first one is the new SEV Chevalier, which I have two micarta versions of this. This one's by far the most premium feeling one, which I knew was gonna be because, you know, it's solid aluminum. These are not linered. These are linerless, solid aluminum scales with the most crispiest detent of all my Chevaliers, by far. 14C 28M blade steel, amazing geometry, nice sharpening tool and plunge grind. They did a really good job with that. 14C is a great steel for thin geometry, so you know when you want nice slicey geometry, 14C is super tough. It has great stainless properties. It holds a good edge. It's very easy to sharpen. Now it's not the longest lasting edge, but in many cases I prefer it over some other steels that have better edge retention, you know, just because of the types of edges it takes. Because, you know, again, with thin geometry, it takes really good low angle edges, so sharpening it up, one, is really easy, but two, you get a lot of performance out of a high quality low angle edge from it. But the ergonomics, you can see it, you know, they're very neutral. They're gonna be pretty much comfortable in anybody's hand, and it's very comfortable. You can choke up over the flipper tab. Again, the detent, super crispy. And you know, I kind of expect it to be a little bit better than my original ones. I have two micarta ones, and the reason why is just because it seems like, you know, they have progressed with their button locks, you know, better and better and better and better. So I expect it here too. The fuller, literally the detent is exactly how strong I would want it. I wouldn't want it any stronger or any less because it has a strong detent, but just enough that I get that nice crispy breaking action from this very minimal fuller, but it works great. And the flipper tab, again, equally as good. Deep carry clip, not in set, but it is reversible and it does have flat screws. And then TA hardware all the way around. Love to see that. As far as negatives, I really don't have anything. This thing is rock solid, and you know, all the little details are there. So shout out to CIVIVI. The next one is the new PRAXIS, the new CIVIVI PRAXIS. Again, man, they tune this detent so good. And this is probably the best one yet. Now, people would argue the NEEVEKNIFECO one because these normally come in a liner lock version. Now, it's a button lock, right? Well, they have a frame lock version as well that's a KAVISO exclusive, and that's a NEEVEKNIFECO one, and it's a titanium frame lock with S35VN. This one has Nitro V, which is the best steel I've seen on the PRAXIS yet, aside from the S35 on the frame lock. This one's more affordable though. It has an aluminum handle, so solid aluminum handle, again, just like the Chevalier. Phenomenal detent, great sound too, listen to this. It might not be coming over the mic, but it has a really nice sound. Beautiful spear point blade, set and finish. Nitro V is very similar to 14C, so you know, with this nice thin geometry, it's going to do very well, you know, and if you put a low angle edge on it, it'll do very well. Great stainless properties. It's, you know, it's a tough steel, holds a good edge, very easy to sharpen. The aluminum handles, you know, let me pull up the Chevalier. This feels a little bit tackier, the finish on the aluminum, than this one. This one feels a little bit slicker. I'm not sure. It's very subtle, but I do feel it. But the ergonomics of the PRAXIS is super good. It's relatively slim, but you know, broad enough to where it's very comfortable. This is one of my most recommended users. So every time somebody asks me, hey, what's a great affordable knife that's really, really good for work and things like that, I almost always recommend the PRAXIS. It's a super solid user. Deep carry clip, not in set, but it does have flat screws and it is reversible. Lockup's rock solid. As usual from them, man, they do such a good job with their button locks. The forward finger choil, you can choke up very comfortably. And again, man, I don't have any negatives with this one. You know, maybe they could have inset the clips. I guess, you know, I could say that. They could have inset the clip on both sides. That would be one thing they could have done. Next is the new EQUIVIK, the NEEVEKNIFECO EQUIVIK. Now, this one we don't have on the site yet, but I'm probably going to get it on there because I'm liking this one quite a bit. Just to give you a quick look of it, next to the Neferis, you can see it is a little bit shorter than the Neferis and the Nexusia. Actually, we have these on the site, at least a couple of them. We don't have all the colors, but we got some of the good ones. Anyways, these are about the same exact length, but you can see the size difference. It's a little bit smaller, but it's still a full-size knife. Beautiful 20 CV drop point blade, titanium scales. It comes in different versions, so there's different materials that you can get. They even have a solid titanium one where this side and this side is blue. It looks really cool. The action, super good. They tune this detent so good, and you wouldn't expect this fuller to work as well as it does. It works super duper good. I can even do it left-handed. So because this side is wider than this side, I can put my finger right on that little platform right there and flick it open. Before we get completely into the action, the access to the lock bar, they put nice texturing on there. They did cut it back a little bit. It could be a little bit more, but it's fine. It's nice and comfortable. Nice and smooth on the drop, still breaking in. The flipper tab's nice and small, but very crispy on the detent brake. And then, like I said, man, that fuller just works super good. Not a big thumb flicker for this, but you can do it. But that reverse flick is where it's at. The titanium handles, like I said, man, super duper ergonomic. You can choke up nice and tight to that edge. This is a good looking one, super useful shape and design. The clip is a titanium mill pocket clip, and it is over this this carbon fiber or aluminum, what was it called? Shred aluminum carbon fiber. T8 hardware all the way around. The lockup, rock solid lockup. It's like a vault, like a damn vault. Yeah, nice and slim in the hand, man. Super ergonomic. This is just such a great user because of the blade shape, because of the size, because this is probably the most wanted size because it's not too big, it's not too small, it's literally just perfect, and it has a good look to it, at least to me. I think this is a good looking knife. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. The one negative I do have is I wish it wasn't blasted, the blade. I don't mind the titanium being blasted, but I wish this was satin or a heavy stone wash or a mirrored stone wash, something else than bead blasted. I'm not a fan of that. I already said, you know, the access to the lock bar could be a little bit better, but it's not a negative. It's just more of a preference because it's still really good and it is comfortable, and they put that texturing there so it's easy. It does have a steel lock bar insert, by the way. Should have said that. But all in all, man, there's not too many negatives. This is a really, really good one. Next is the new Artisan Trucks, which is a ferrum forged design, as if you couldn't tell that just by looking at the design, because ferrum forged does have, you know, their unique style in their design. You can usually tell that it's a ferrum forged design. I can see this one from a mile away, you know, that it looks like a ferrum forged design. I love ferrum forged design, so I'm happy for that. Nice big broad, very slicey blade, an S35 VN. Yeah, nice big forward finger choil. The fuller is nice and deep, you know, it has a nice edge on it. Titanium frame lock that's slightly contoured and softened a lot. Like, it's very soft. You know, it has this bead blasted finish over it, but you know, all the edges are crowned really nicely. As far as the action, the flipper tab, very comfortable flipper tab. Ferrum Forge almost always does very comfortable flipper tabs. The detent, I'm going to say, is on the medium side because of the fuller. Not that it's a bad thing or anything, but they have this fuller, so, you know, the detent for the fuller is really crispy, very good. But for the flipper tab, you can load up, you can light switch, you can push button, and it works great. But, you know, the detent is a little bit lighter on the flipper tab than it is on the fuller, but the fuller works really good. You know, it's nice and deep. It's got a nice good edge on it. I can easily get it. Pretty sure I can get it with the left too. You could probably lock on. Wow, I can get it really good with the left. Wow, that's crazy. The clip is a smaller clip, but it actually works good. It's just, to me, it looks small. You know, it works fine, so it slips in and out of the pocket. The ramp's good. You would think it would have so much more tension being so small, but it actually works fine. But I just, you know, I kind of, you know, maybe it's just the looks for me. But anyways, titanium backspacer. Very, very thin. That's one thing you notice right away. As soon as you put it in the hand, you notice it's broad and very slim. So, you know, but it's still comfortable. Still super comfortable. I'm not saying that that's a negative. I'm just saying, you know, and which is a good thing actually to a lot of people. They want it nice and slim. So when it's in the pocket, you know, it's not bulging out, you know. It's just nice and flat in the pocket. Anyways, negatives though. One negative, the biggest negative. Let's talk about the biggest negative. My biggest negative is this damn lock bar access. Yeah, it's shot. To me, man, they needed to knock this back, open it up. They didn't put any clearance. They put a little chamfer on the edge, and that's ridiculous, especially with such a thin blade. You know, when you have this thin, and it's not like it's super thin, but look, you can see there's not that big of a gap, right? So you don't have that much access to get in there. So you got to come around to the front and kind of, you know, push it out of the way. I would prefer it to just come from the side. Now you can, so, you know, most people will probably be like, what are you talking about? It's not bad. But to me, I like nice lock bar access, and this one's a lot tighter than I would prefer. Other than that, you know, it's got T8 hardware all the way around, which I'm really happy with. The only other thing is, you know, the clip I think could be a little bit longer. I think it would look a little bit better. Maybe the detent a little bit stronger on the flipper tab, but it does flip reliably. I mean, I know I can fail it, yeah, but, you know, it still flips good. But the only other thing is that there's no weight relieving, which, not saying that's a bad thing, but, you know, depending on how you are with weight and stuff. I do like how they stonewash the blade. You know, the handle is nice and smooth, nice and soft. It functions really, really well, you know, so solid knife overall. Next is, and last, the Katsu JT3. This knife is a titanium, or has a titanium frame lock with what looks like to me like the lava flow fat carbon fiber inlays on one side, a black washed blade and handle that does look really good. It has this clip point blade, almost a sheep's foot style blade, or almost a Dow style blade shape. Very narrow, a relatively thick geometry, but it gets down to a decent thin edge. Access to the lock bar is really good, nice comfortable disengagement. The front flipper is big, look at that. Now that makes for one of the best side finger flickers. Like, this thing is so comfortable to side finger. Some of them are sharp and they get you right there. This one, nice and comfortable. And you can do the thumb really well. You know, it gives you a nice platform even to slow roll it over. You know, just because, you know, your thumb can press right in there, push it over, lock it up. You can do the reach over, not a problem. So the front flipper is very, very well executed. The detent, you can hear it. It's got a nice strong detent, and so when you break it, yeah, it snaps out there really well. Very smooth on the drop. The titanium frame lock, you know, has the lock bar cut out on the inside, which is really cool. I always prefer that. Even though the clip is on the spine, you'd think they put it right in the middle since they put the lock bar cut out on the inside. But this clip, you know, you would think, looking at it from this angle, you'd think it wouldn't work that good, but it actually works really good. There's not a lot of tension to it because it's narrow right there, so it's super smooth in and out of the pocket. Now, the clip being on the spine, yes, you feel it, but I can choke up right here. You know, if I'm really gonna bear down where the pressure is really gonna go into my palm, I'm past the clip. If I'm back here, you know, I'm kind of spread out just a little bit for slicing. So yes, I feel it, I notice it, but it's not bad. Pinch grips, you know, I'm not gonna notice it at all. Reverse grips, you know, which these are all great grips for this knife. This knife will even do the gas station knife fighting grip good. So, because it has that very neutral ergonomics. that I personally love. So the clip, normally I would say I don't want it on the spine, and I'm still going to consider it a small negative. I wish it was centered, but it does not hurt my hand too much. And that's usually the reason why I don't want it on the spine, just because I feel it so much. Yes, I feel it. Yes, I notice it, but in use, it's not going to be something that becomes a problem like some other knives do. Now, as far as more negatives, the one other negative I have, which is probably my biggest negative, well, two negatives. The one is the sharpening choil and plunge grind. They did not give me a good choil, or, you know, they put the plunge grind right to the edge. So it starts here and it hits the edge. So if I sharpen this, I will create a smile. Now, here's the bad part. The bad part is they put the stop pin there. So now if I want to cut out a choil there, I can't, because my stop pin hits there. So, you know, I personally would prefer the stop pin to be in a different location so that I can easily cut in my own sharpening choil. Now the lockup is rock solid. You know, you know, the thing's super solid. You know, I do like it a lot. I love, you know, how narrow it is and how sword-like it feels. It really feels like you're holding like a little dagger or something, which I guess you are, but you know what I mean. Anyways, but I'm liking it. It's definitely very cool. You know, I have some little nitpicks, but, you know, to be honest, most people are never going to sharpen it. They're never going to sharpen it so much that it becomes a problem as far as, you know, taking away the steel from the stop pin, because that's sometimes a problem when you put stop pins there. That's why you don't want to put them there, because when I sharpen, I might sharpen out the steel where it hits, you know, and it closes, so then it won't close properly. Now it's not going to fall into the detent well. But this one, since it's in the thicker portion, you're not going to do that as long as you don't ever put a sharpening choil. However, when you sharpen it back, you will create a smile. Now, what you could do is maybe put in a little notch in front of this thing right here and just avoid hitting the thicker part. You could probably do that. One other thing is, you know, the inlays should be on both sides. And I don't really care about that. I'm not like, it's not really that big of a negative to me, but I know it is for other people. So many people make a big deal out of it. If you do it on one side, do it on the other. So, you know, I'm basically saying it for you guys because I know there's a huge crowd of people that is a big difference. And to me, it doesn't make a difference, so I might as well say it, right? Because, you know, I'll take it with or without. And I do appreciate it when it is on both sides a little bit more than if it's only on one side. But all in all, very cool knife, and yeah, there you guys go. Everything will be linked down in the description. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.